Welcome to another exciting adventure where today we're taking Korean Air's brand new Dreamliner business class from Vancouver all the way to Seoul. I began my journey at Vancouver's International Terminal, which can be described as a kaleidoscope of colors. As I waited to board Korean Air's 1 p.m. departure, I passed the time in the SkyTeam Lounge. This is a centralized lounge facility shared between many of the SkyTeam airlines that serve Vancouver, and I was delighted to find that not only was there a wide-ranging buffet selection, but also there was a made-to-order noodle bar, including wonton noodles that really hit the spot for my pre-flight lunch. I spent about 15 minutes wrapping up some work in the lounge before it was time to board. Now, Korean Air's brand new business class cabins here in the Boeing 787-10 is arranged in a staggered configuration, and I had selected seat 16B at the very back of the cabin, one of the window seats that has some distance from the window. Note that there happen to be some other window seats that happen to be right up against the windows in the odd-numbered rows, and meanwhile the middle seats alternate between being farther apart and being closer together, also known as the honeymoon seats. Now, in terms of my first impressions of the Korean Air Dreamliner business class seat, I loved the colors, which were quite striking, as well as the fabrics and the suede finishes, and I was also a fan of how intuitive all of the seat features came across. From the seat control buttons to the wireless charging for your mobile device, from the storage unit housed within this elegant brass cover, to the electronic divider that added a sense of privacy to the middle seats. Everything seemed very well thought out, and I have to give Korean Air a lot of props for a well-executed brand new business class seat. Even the tray table was a design that I hadn't seen before, popping outwards with a push of a button and then folding over into place. I had some orange juice and some pretzels as a snack before departure, and then browsed through the menu to figure out what I wanted to eat later on. On these midday departures from the West Coast to Asia, I typically prefer to enjoy a meal after departure, work on my laptop for a little while, and then try to get at least 3 to 5 hours of sleep in. And this flight on Korean Air was no exception. I continued browsing through the menu as we took off from Vancouver, and during this brief window of time before the meal would be served, I took a peek at the business class amenity kit. In addition to the usual items like an eye mask and a dental kit, I was a fan of the Atelier cologne, skincare items, and lip balms, which I used to keep my skin and my lips moisturized for the duration of the flight. Lunch would begin with a glass of the Duval Leroy champagne. Now, this is a brand that I've seen many airlines carry for the duration of 2024, and it definitely feels like it's making its way around the major airlines. After a tasty amuse-bouche consisting of beef and vegetables, I opted for the tuna tataki appetizer. This is an appetizer that I've had on a number of airlines now, and I find it's pretty hard to get wrong. This interpretation by Korean Air very much fitting that bill. And then, for the main course, I certainly couldn't resist Korean Air's signature dish in the skies, the immensely satisfying bibimbap. As I made my way through the dish, I couldn't help but marvel at what a joy it was to savor one of Korea's national dishes on board the national airline. The beef was perfectly tender, the soup warm and nourishing, the gochujang sauce added a perfect spicy kick, and the packaged seaweed on the side made the dish just that much more interactive and fun. As far as airlines pulling off a mile-high interpretation of their local cuisines go, this one was a 10 out of 10. After wrapping up my meal with a fruit plate and some cheese, I couldn't resist just a little bit of an extra treat with some ice cream and some decaf coffee. I then got some work done from the comfort of my seat, turning down the electronically dimmable windows on the Dreamliner to a medium setting. Before long, it was time to retire for the evening. Now, on some of my trans-Pacific crossings as of late, I've actually stayed up the whole time, but then I've found myself struggling to catch up on sleep once I've landed in Asia. And so on this flight with Korean Air, I made sure to squeeze in the next 4 hours or so to get a snooze in, and I appreciated the fact that the in-flight entertainment system allowed me to select my preference for whether I wanted to be woken up for the second meal or not. The answer would of course be yes, because if you've been watching this channel for a while, you'll know that when I'm flying with Asian Airlines, I always want to make a dent in the snack menu. And on this flight with Korean Air, the snack on offer was a delicious bowl of Shin Ramyeon. One that I polished off in no time at all, the spicy and tangy flavors giving me a much needed jolt after my nap. I also took a moment to survey one of the brand new features here on this cabin, which is especially useful for couples traveling together. If you select the seats that are closer together in the middle, the crew will be able to help you put together a double bed in the sky, which is a wonderful way to relax and get some sleep with your companion by your side. And as we approached South Korea, I wrapped up the dining experience on board Korean Air's business class with a plate of chicken in bulgogi sauce as part of my second meal. This was admittedly not quite as stellar as the bibimbap dish that I had as my main course, but still I enjoyed polishing off most of it, as it would tide me over nicely until our dinner plans on the ground in Seoul. Making our arrival into Incheon International Airport, I reflected on a very smooth journey across the Pacific with Korean Air. The highlight of this experience was the business class seat itself, which is an improvement upon the old offerings in terms of how visually striking it is, as well as the comfort in which to sit, relax, and sleep. On the soft product side, there are certainly a few highlights, like the bibimbap main course as part of the Korean menu, beautifully channeling the national cuisine. But there were also a few areas of improvements. In particular, I thought the service on board still has a few steps to go in terms of its warmth and personalization in order for Korean Air to rank among the world's best airlines. Nevertheless, the airline is going through a massive transformation in 2025 as it absorbs its primary domestic rival Asiana Airlines as part of a merger and undergoes a major transformation in terms of brand, fleet, and ground experience. I'm looking forward to seeing what Korean Air has planned, and I certainly wouldn't mind flying with them again in the years to come.